Hey guys, it's Chris from VENGE Performance Scan. Just wanted to show you a kind of lesser known service that we have started providing. It's just some basic fuel injector flow and testing. We don't have a huge bench here, so we can't do extremely large injectors and do their actual flow. We can basically do their relative flow to each other, which often is enough to determine if there's a problem or if they would benefit from a cleaning. Here we just got our little unit, and it's just your basic all tool system here. Doing 4 at once because this is a 6-cylinder unit and we have 8 cylinder worth of injectors to do. I kind of start out doing our leak test first, and so we'll set our fuel pressure to about 45 psi, somewhere in that neighborhood, making sure that we don't have any leaks. Basically, yeah, you're testing to see if these O-rings seal to the rail, but more so you're testing to see if this injector internally seals, and they usually do, but it's something to check because if they don't, you can have all kinds of problems starting the car after it sits. You can see here I don't have that block off quite tight enough. Luckily the testing fluid is non-flammable. It's made specifically for injector testing. It's really safe to handle and things like that. But if your injectors are leaking, you can have issues at idle where low pulse widths mean that leak is a significant portion of your fueling. And you can also have issues restarting because you'll have excess fuel in your intake from leaking down. So next, we're just going to do an idling test here. And I'm not going to go through this whole process, but I just thought you guys would kind of find it interesting to see some of these things. So we'll do an idle test. Depending on how large these injectors are, we can kind of see how long they need to run. Some of these bigger ones we can kind of only run for like 30 seconds. So basically we start this on this device here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pause it at maybe 50, something nice and round. And now that we've got kind of everything primed, we'll close our graduated cylinder drains. And then I'm going to run this for at least 30 seconds. I don't remember offhand what pound per hour or cc these injectors are, but we shouldn't fill this up, kind of with 30 seconds sort of running time. So that would take us down to 20, and we're just trying to do 30 seconds because it'll be a nice even fraction kind of for later. At idle, these aren't really putting out a ton, so I'm actually going to run this down to 50. So we're going to go down to 0 on here. You see here the spray pattern's not terrible. This one here looks a little bit worse than the other two. So it'll be interesting to see what they flow. So we'll stop our test. You always kind of got to wait for the bubbles to settle. And actually these don't look too bad. So you can see here they're pretty level. And so these injectors are fairly well balanced. So what we would do from here is kind of go on to the medium test. After we kind of document these, we'll number each injector. Just kind of put that down. And then we'll go up to kind of a higher speed test and drain this again. We'll run this. So you can see here our fuel flow is quite a bit more. You can also see here we're trying to maintain our fuel pressure kind of around 43, 45 like most systems run under, at least kind of in their base settings. So we're just going to go ahead and run that for a full minute then and see what that does. Okay, so that ran a little bit more flow. You can see here these are all still really even. This is a pretty good set of injectors so far, at least this 4. And we'll basically do them in 2 batches of 4. So the last test that I'll show you right now is so you can see a little bit more flow. We'll put it on the high speed test. Drain this again. And it's kind of important to test at all different ranges just to make sure your injector doesn't have an issue. We'll probably run this for about 30 seconds. And you'll often get a lot more foaming. And you'll see a little more variance, of course, because, you know, we're kind of higher flow rates, and so any percentages that we're off are going to increase. And you can see here that the left two injectors are probably 3 or 4 cc less than the other two. And we will document that, so if his engine management's capable of dealing with that, that's something to kind of note. These are not like really high-end type of injectors, and that kind of is some of the differences that you're going to get with a really well-matched set, or a set that's, you know, going to be fine for an OEM application or Performance Plus, that sort of thing. You do have to keep in mind that your intake manifold is going to have differing amounts of airflow and things like that too. So, you know, there's a little bit of diminishing returns, I feel, once you get under a few percent difference between injectors. But you will get higher quality idle, you will get higher quality cruise. Just really at wide open, you know, as long as you're within, you know, 2 or 3%, you're probably not going to have a lot of issue unless you're really running on the edge. And if you're running in that level, you're probably going to want to run individual wide bands on each cylinder to really know there's a difference, or be really good at reading spark plugs. So that's really how it's been done for, you know, 100 years type of situation. FIC injectors that we resell and we have run our own car. On this little bench, we'll even come across with, you know, basically within 0.5% or less, so you can't even tell the difference really. So that's kind of some differences there. We're not really ready to widespread market our capabilities as far as cleaning up your injectors for you or flowing them relative to each other, but just want to let you know this is something we're kind of doing, you know, on a kind of ad hoc basis. So if you need a little help, contact us at revengeperformance.com. We'll see if we can get some revenge on your dirty fuel injectors.